It was difficult to judge with the rain and the darkness. There were no streetlights up here, and the headlights illuminated a pathetically small patch of road in front of her before dissolving into the darkness. This was stupid, she thought again. This was crazy. She ought to pull off the road at the next opportunity, one of the overlooks perhaps, and wait out the rain. Only there was no way to know how long the rain would last, and Sarah was counting on her. Sarah's dad would be home at 1 a.m., and if the Porsche wasn't in the garage, he'd check her room for sure. Incredibly, the rain seemed to build in intensity as though mocking her. The respite between swipes of the wipers was becoming less and less effective. Kelly suddenly became aware that the radio was still on, tuned to a local classic rock station, Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. The corner of her mouth curled upward for a second as she imagined what her own dad would have to say about that, a record from the mid-90s being labeled as classic anything. And then she was jerked back into the moment. In the heartbeat between the pass of the wipers and the fresh sheet of water, the Porsche's headlights picked out a dark shape of something in the road, obstructing her lane. The wipers delivered another strobe-like snapshot of the road ahead, and she realized the shape was earth and rubble, a landslide from the slope on her left-hand side, leaving a dangerously tight gap in the road. Holding her breath, Kelly braked and aimed for the slender space between the pile of debris and the drop at the edge of the road. Sarah is gonna kill me, she thought, as the driver's side front wheel crunched over a brick-sized rock while the drop loomed on her right-hand side. And then the Porsche squeezed through the gap, missing the bulk of the obstruction and narrowly, wonderfully, keeping all four wheels on the road. She exhaled in a short cough, grateful and guilty all at once, like she'd dodged a bullet. She skirted the remainder of the landslide, eyes peeled for oncoming headlights. Without taking her eyes from the road, she moved one hand gingerly from the steering wheel for the first time in 10 minutes, reaching over to snap the radio off. Chris Cornell's voice winked out, leaving only the staccato beat of rain on glass. One less distraction, she thought, as she moved her hand back to the wheel. One less. A loud bang pierced the rhythm of the rain like a gunshot, and she felt the rear of the car slide out from under her. A blowout? The car was sliding to the right, toward the drop. Kelly yanked the wheel hard left. The vehicle ignored her, continuing its inexorable swerve toward a steep 200-foot slope and oblivion. There was no barrier, because the road was relatively straight here, but that assumed your car was under control. Oh, shit. Steer into the skid? Steer away from the skid? What are you meant to— As abruptly as the swerve had begun, it stopped. The steering wheel locked and the car righted itself, and Kelly leaned into the brake, hearing a nails-on-the-blackboard screech of metal, as the Porsche hugged the very lip of the road and came to a full stop at the edge of the drop. A brief moment of euphoria. She'd been certain she was about to die, and somehow she was still alive, and then a snatch of worry. Had she totaled Sarah's new Porsche? In the bar, Sarah had claimed not to know how much it had cost, but Matt had said something under his breath, with his usual mild disapproval, about $100,000 or so. The rain battered down unabated, as though trying to prevent her from thinking, from organizing her brain to the point where she might begin to piece together what had happened and what she might do next. But before she could start to think about the thousands of dollars of damage she might have done, those worries, and every other thought, were banished by the realization of a new danger. She was sitting in an immobile vehicle, in the dark, in a rainstorm, on a narrow highway, next to a steep drop. Frantically, she grasped for the door handle, finding it after an eternity and pushing the door open. She clambered out of the car and into the deluge. It was like diving fully clothed into a lake. She put a hand on her forehead to keep the rain out of her eyes and squinted at the road, looking one way and then the other. Seeing no lights, she reached back into the car and snagged the keys from the ignition, then scurried around the back.